Deerwood Realty advice columnist John Schenk answers your questions today. Good afternoon. So you know that I love advice columns. You know that, it's one of my favorite things. I don't know. It's just something that's always appealed to me. No one ever asked me for my advice. Normally I offer it anyway. But I came across this article in Slate, and I thought it was something we could go over and we could have a little fun with. Let me know in the comment section if I'm wrong. What would you do? I think it's something we as a community can enjoy. So here it is. Help, my awful neighbor is searching for his cat, which I ran over and hid. He's going door to door asking about his kitty. Well, that's terrible. It says, Dear Prudence, my husband and I live near a man in his 70s who is mean, complains about every little thing, and calls the police anytime there's loud music in the neighborhood, or if there are suspicious-looking kids hanging out too close to his house. He once tried to sue a neighbor over tree branches falling into his yard. My problem is that a couple of weeks ago, I accidentally ran over his cat while pulling into my driveway, killing him. It was well after midnight, and I didn't see him until it was too late. When I told my husband, he quickly scooped up the body, disposed of it a couple miles away, and made me promise not to tell what happened, saying it was an honest mistake and that the cat shouldn't have been out roaming in the first place. Now our neighbor has been going door to door, including ours, asking about his kitty. He's put up posters offering a reward. I feel awful, and I want to tell our neighbor what happened, but my husband is adamant that we keep our mouths shut, fearing the old man will make life a living hell for us. My husband says the man will get over it and has proposed buying him a new cat. Is this an acceptable solution? So we've got an uncomfortable situation here. We've got an old man. I no offense, but I think people are really, really starting to hit old people a little too hard as far as disrespect. I mean, if you've made it to 70, good for you. That's just me. So what would you do? What would you do? I know what I would do. Let's see what the advice is. Your husband has pulled off the ultimate bag job, and now he wants to show up with a kitten, which is tantamount to announcing, we're the ones who killed your whittle putty tat. I'm a cat lover, but if you let your cat roam free, you implicitly accept the risk that it could have a lethal encounter with a dog, a fox, or a car. If your neighbor were a normal person, you'd immediately have told him what happened. And would you really? Would you really have immediately told him what happened? And you all would have commiserated over this terrible accident. But you are in the grindingly unpleasant situation of living near a lunatic. A lunatic. So I understand your husband's quick, if nefarious, decision to ditch the evidence. This action may put him on the wrong side of the law, but I'm more concerned about the mental health necessity of avoiding endless misery meted out by a vindictive and potentially litigious neighbor. Of course, it's awful to see a missing kitty posters dot the neighborhood while knowing you dispatched the cat, feeling trapped in a feline version of Without a Trace. But you've probably seen enough crime shows to know that the perpetrators get caught when cracks form in their unified front. So don't go wobbly now. What do you think? Is that what you would do? I will say this. It's easy for us to judge others in this type of situation because we didn't kill a cat. Like we're not the one. But I kind of wanted to go over the article, a few of the things or the advice, and I just wanted to see if you guys were along with me or maybe I'm wrong. So originally you've framed the neighbor as mean, and even later in the article as a lunatic. So now you feel justified in killing the cat? If the neighbor was nice, how would you have handled it? It seems like you just don't want to tell someone you killed their cat. Do you really, if the person was the nicest person in the world, would you really walk over and say, hey, I murdered your cat last night? Why? I mean, you've already got your alibi. Another thought I had was, what would happen if you did tell the neighbor? When would have been the appropriate time? It would have been the day after. Now you have an issue where if you tell the neighbor you killed the cat after you've done all the searching, you look like an even worse person. So can you imagine the cat's been killed, a couple days pass, neighbor's out with missing cat signs, and then you tell him? It's got nothing to do with the neighbor to me. Like, because the neighbor was bad, it's okay to kill his cat? It's okay not to tell him? I mean, I'm just looking at it from my point of view, and it's easier because I didn't kill the cat. And then I got to thinking, how often do you think this happens? Like, I see signs from time to time, lost dog, lost cat, and I feel terrible. But how many dog and cat murders are going to go unreported? Killing someone's family pet happens. There are actually neighbors who kill pets because they're annoying or they're just sick people. In this case, it was an accident. So yesterday's story was about a neighbor that was throwing poisoned meat over the fence to kill a dog. And then there was another story with the neighbor shooting the owner's dog because the owner's dog was trying to kill the owner. Lots of pet issues in general. But I mean, I see lost dog and I see lost cat and I see the signs and I feel sad. Like, I feel terrible for the person. No one wants to deal with a lost cat or a lost dog. We have a dog that if he gets outside, I mean, he just takes off. He thinks it's wonderful. And I would hate for something to happen to the dog. I'd hate to have to tell the kids what happened. It'd be terrible. Another thought I had was, does this offense happen in the age of neighbor ring cameras and the like? My neighbor has a ring camera, and he tells me when people are casing my cars and my house in the early hours of the morning. It's amazing what we don't know going on around us. If the cat murder would have been caught on camera, doesn't that pretty much obligate you to tell the neighbor? So we live in an age of surveillance. And I have mixed thoughts about that, but can you imagine killing a cat in your own yard and then the neighbor, having a ring camera pointed at your yard and can see it and then not telling him? Be a bad deal. What was the cat doing, or what were you doing when you ran it over? I mean, pulling into your own driveway and killing a cat on your property almost makes it justified. It's not like you lined up the cat to kill it, right? Like, was the cat just slow? Didn't see the headlights and I mean, kind of feel like it's on the cat, but let me know in the comment section if I'm wrong. I'm sure it was an accident. And then the framing of the neighbor, lunatic, crazy. This is how he's been labeled. And this is why. He called police when suspicious looking kids are close to his house. He calls the police when there's loud music in the neighborhood. And he sued a neighbor for tree branches falling in his yard. We don't know how big the tree branches are. Okay? Like, we don't know if they're the big old tree branches that he had to maybe pay for somebody to come and take out. Calling the police when there's loud music in the neighborhood. Well, who wants to live in a neighborhood where there's loud music playing all the time? And calls police when suspicious looking kids are close to his house. We live next to the middle school, and those kids are, when they stop and loiter, they're up to no good. So am I this neighbor? Am I a lunatic? I don't think so. Anyway, we had a story early in the week where in Florida, you now have to report your name and address if you're making a code enforcement complaint. In this case, the neighbor who has made the complaints is known. Did that stop the complaints? So they said it would provide a chilling effect when you announce, your name and your address, and it's tied to the complaint. But here, this man is known throughout the neighborhood as someone who will complain to authority if there's something wrong going on in the neighborhood that he perceives being wrong in the neighborhood. And that's the final thing I wanted to go over is navigating the good neighbor environment is super tricky. There could be local customs that you've never seen and you're not familiar with. Things could change with the type of home you're in or the location of the home. As an example, in an urban setting, you're bound to get loud music and noises bombarding you everywhere you go. But out in farmland, it's unlikely you'll hear anything or to even see your neighbors. And so it's like we need to know more in this situation. I think that I think they should have told the guy. And I think that their value system isn't in line with his value system, but that doesn't make him a lunatic. I mean, there's certain things that, if you threw a dead animal on someone's porch, that's a little weird. If you were a hoarder and left all kinds of stuff in your front yard, not so great. We had that story one time about somebody, I think it was in Arizona, that put a big setting of like murdered Barbie dolls on blood and stuff in their front yard to some sort of art display. That's weird. If you killed that person's cat, I don't know. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm right. I don't have this one nailed down. I feel like they should have told the man. I mean, he's an old man. Probably only has his cat to be happy with, and that's it. Now you've taken it from him. But the professional advice giver says, keep your mouth shut and be happy that you pulled it off. I don't know. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.